We engage in authentic conversations about our weekly entrepreneurial goals while exploring business, failures, success, and personal growth.
We're going to continue to work and get better at this, so thanks for tuning in.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Our vision will highlight a diversity of guests who are creatives, industry leaders, and individuals creating positive change within our communities. Join us on the Our Vision podcast.
Our shared journey to become better humans.
It's not only our vision, but it's your vision too.
FSU.
Today, we're going to get into the importance of who you surround yourself with. What do you think?
It's a good topic.
Is it a good topic?
I think so, yeah. No, I know so.
Yeah?
Yeah, without a doubt.
So what do you think?
Well, when you brought the topic to me, I started thinking about it a little deeper, and one of the things I realized is that we learn this over time, for some of us, and who we surround ourselves changes with, I don't know how old we are, what's going on in life, where we're working, what sports we're into, what hobbies we're into, how we're spending our time, and this changes throughout life. So I think, I don't know how you feel about that, but I think it's changed several times for me over life.
Same.
I think there's been times in life where it's easier and harder. I don't know if you can think of a harder time. I think one of the hardest times for me was probably in my youth, as when I was younger.
Yes, probably teenage years and throughout my 20s, maybe a little in my 30s too. So it's been throughout my life, maybe bigger in certain parts of my youth.
So one of the things I realized is, like, when I was younger, especially even being a young, like, let's say like 8, 9, is that we don't have a lot of control over where we go. We either go to school a lot of times, or our parents are taking us places. So we're kind of in this, in some level, we're not in charge of who we're surrounding ourselves with, right? So we have the kids in our class, right? Might be in second grade, and I remember having a really close friend. You remember those first friendships you ever had?
Yeah.
And some of those people I know still today, and some I don't even know what they're up to anymore. But as you get a little bit older, I think is where I had the most trouble, is around teenage years. I don't think I was making the best choices in life at times, surrounding myself. So anyways, yeah. So teenage years, I don't know about for you, but it was pretty rough for me.
Yeah. How was it rough?
I don't think I was as sure about myself as I am today. I don't know. I was more, I don't think I was easily led. I just think I was doing things that were probably not the best. I'm always shocked when I hear of, like, somebody that's like 12, 13, 14, 15. They say, "Oh, I always wanted to be," name it, I don't know, a gymnastic.
Yeah, they find their calling at an early age.
And they just do it.
They do it.
Or they want to be a writer. On that. Or they want to be, you hear this, right? And I had no clue what I wanted to be. I just wanted to play or go hang out with guys and girls and do skateboarding, or I don't know. At that time I was drinking too, even a little bit. So yeah, I think it was really hard to I don't think I was making good choices about. Not that those people were bad. I just don't think I was making good choices for myself.
Yeah. What kind of choices were you making?
Like I said, I was drinking and doing some things that probably, as a teenager, that wouldn't have been a good choice, right? So yeah, those kind of things like that. I don't know. And I know, talking to you, you didn't do as much of anything along those lines.
No, I was a quiet kid. Didn't talk much in school. Didn't have a ton of friends. Didn't build relationships. So I didn't get into the crazy wild stuff until, I would say, my late teenage years, early 20s.
So I think that brings us to a different point too, is like, it's different for everybody. Everybody's past a little different, right? So for you, who you were surrounded, you were more withdrawn from people. I was not withdrawn from people, but I still don't think I was making great choices, right? I don't think my time was well spent sometimes, right? I think I could have been doing things that were probably a little more productive in my early adult years, right? So those are one thing. Thinking back on it now, I'm like, oh, well, it does make a difference who you're around, right? Think about, I don't know, were you into sports at all?
Yes.
Did you play sports?
Played baseball.
Right.
And then I'd play like backyard football, play basketball, like street basketball, or go to the school and play with my friends.
And I didn't play sports, but when I think of a sport is kind of like similar to life, right? So you got a team of people, right? And you're trying to work towards a goal of winning, right? Whatever that might be, right? So baseball, there's a focus, right? You're going to catch the ball better. You're going to hit the ball better. You're going to run faster. You're going to be more agile. You're going to be able to catch a ball coming off the ground and bouncing and all that. So you're working on that as a team, right? So you're surrounded with people that are focused on something. All right. So I think when we talk about surrounding ourselves, I think of a team. I don't know how you think about it, but that's the importance of having people around that are highly focused on an outcome.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sure you enjoyed baseball, right?
Yes, I was a huge baseball fan.
I've never been on a team really, except for
Yeah.
T-ball, so I don't know what that really feels like. I mean,
So in Sandusky, I started in Atom League,
okay,
and I was probably,
sounds young when it says Adam.
I don't know, I would say 7 or 8
Oh, it's real young. Yeah.
around that time. And I played up through part of high school, and I miss it. I miss those days.
I would think I would miss having a group of people around that are, you're all working to win a game and play against somebody, and the competitiveness of it. And
Yeah, the camaraderie and all that.
I think that's really important. So to me, when I think of that now as an adult man, when I think about surrounding myself with people, I'm looking for people. They don't necessarily have to think like me, but they have to be moving forward on something, right? That to me feels better when I'm surrounding myself with people like that, opposed to, somebody that's going to the bar every night and somebody that's drinking and drugging it up, or I don't know, just mean, or not excited about anything in life, and they don't have many interests. Like, to me, that I'm not saying I'm better than those people. I just know it feels better to be around people that are moving forward, like, or doing something, or excited about something, or have a good attitude about something. And they could be working for a company and they have interesting hobbies, or they are well read and they have great stories, or they travel and they, those kind of things. So, and I think that shifted for me. I don't know when that shifted. I don't know when it shifted for you, but for me, I think that shifted in my mid to late 20s. I started realizing the importance of attitude and what do you want out of life. I recognized that, and incrementally I've been making those shifts. I think you met me at a unique time in college. I had already gone through that process. I kind of have become more comfortable who I am, right? And I'm not. Would you say I'm easily led by people?
Not at all.
Right. So
No.
I found it's not like being a kid anymore, right? And being an adult man and having more of a stability about who you are, it's easier to surround yourself with people and know what you want, right? And I think it still changes for me. I don't think I have it figured out 100%, but I definitely know what I want, what I don't want in life, right?
See, listen, throughout my life, I didn't do anything crazy, especially compared to some of the stories that you have.
Right.
But I did go through a phase with like binge drinking, and it wasn't all the time, but you get together with your friends on the weekend and you go out and you drink some beer, and you have one, and then
you have two,
by
and
the
then
end
you
of
have
the night
three,
you
and
have like 10, and
you're locked out of
like
your apartment.
5 shots.
Right.
So I didn't get out of that until I had kind of went through phases of that. Like sometimes, because I'm the type of person, I can just step away from it and be okay. I'm not the addictive personality type.
Right.
But I would say when I kind of stepped away from that was mid-30s. And I started focusing on what I had to do and what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference, right?
When a lot of other reasons
when you
too
start
that
to shift like that,
are
though,
personal, and I don't want to get into. But
that's a different way of thinking, right? You start to feel different, and you can't hide behind a beer at that point.
Yeah,
right. And that changes also the way you're thinking. I remember when I stopped drinking and partying and everything, and that like started shifting what I was doing in life. Like, you start thinking about things a little differently. You have to confront who you are at that point. You can't hide behind a buzz, right?
Yeah.
So that's been really interesting. And I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm glad I went through all those things. But yeah, I'm glad you made those choices to shift, like going after more of what you wanted. But I don't think I think it happens over time, right?
It wasn't even like the drinking part of it, because you know me, I'm not like an alcoholic or anything like that. But I would binge drink every now and then.
I'm talking about the attitude shift though, like focusing on what you wanted to do. That's more of what I was saying.
And I want to get into that too, with that shift away from that. And even the people I was hanging around. And it's not like they were bad people. They're, it could be good friends of mine or just anyone in general that would be in my life at certain times in my life. And some of those individuals would kind of make you feel not good about yourself, because I'm the type of person where I don't want to like be an asshole to anyone.
Right. So just being quiet doesn't mean you're not.
I'll joke around occasionally. I mean, you know that, Joe. You and I do that all the time.
Right. Yeah.
But there comes a point where it becomes too much.
Right.
Or people push the boundary too much, and it's not funny anymore.
Right.
And stuff like, and situations like that would bring me down, and not only in those situations, but in my own personal life. So I kind of distanced myself from that gradually.
Well,
and it's made a huge difference. And even the whole drinking part of it, which again, I didn't do a lot of drinking, but I noticed how much it was affecting me mentally. It was making me more depressed and just not feeling good about life. But as soon as I kind of transitioned from that and focused on the stuff that we're doing right now and focused hard on it, life's been so much better. And I feel so much better about life.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because I feel I had a lot of great times throughout my life, like I really did. But I also had a lot of rough times with drinking and doing some things. But when I cut that out of my life, your body feels better, right? But also, moreover than just the stopping drinking, like you're talking about, that shift in what do you want to do, right? I think that brings a lot of energy into your life and makes you feel good when you're focused. There's 168 hours in a week, right? So 168 hours, everybody's got the same amount of time. You choose what you want to do, right? So to me, and I know you feel the same way, to me, my time is not best suited to go to a bar 2 or 3 times a week and sit around a bar and have 6, 7, 8 beers. That doesn't sound like something that's a good use of my time, right? Now, if somebody else wants to do that, you know me, I don't care. Do what you want to do. It's your life, right? So when I think of surrounding myself with people, I don't necessarily look for individuals that are doing that, because I don't feel like that fits in my life. Like if I went to a bar 3 and 4 times a week, Brad, I don't think that would fit with the business that we're doing, even like for us to move forward. I don't think that's productive. I don't think there's any value in that. I'd be better suited sitting in my chair reading an article about something, right? So, yeah, I'm definitely excited that we, I like how you said that, Brad, is like when you made that shift, you feel better. And I feel better. I feel good over the last few years, what we've been working on.
And I also want to go back and, any individual that I was spending time with, it's not that any of those people were terrible people.
No.
It was just those people are on a certain path in their life. And I kind of wanted to move forward, like we've been saying.
Right. And some of those people may have moved forward. And I know some of the people I know have. They do different things. And, people wax and wane, what I mean?
And limiting your time with certain people, too. So maybe if relationships aren't the healthiest when you're spending too much time with certain people.
Right.
And you have to kind of limit those interactions at times. That's been helpful, too.
What I've been excited about over the last decade, since being back in Ohio from Florida, I moved to Florida for a while, came back here, the economy crashed. That's how I came to meet Brad. We were in college together and met some wonderful other people that are creative. And I wouldn't say I'm jealous of them, but I really admire some of the creativity people that we've met that are creative, right? And I just I'm really excited about how I've surrounded myself or dedicate my time to other things now. To me, that's been the best best part of my life for me personally. So I'm excited to continue to network and meet people, and I'm excited about learning from other people that are moving forward. I think that's really what this episode is coming down to, is we're talking about how we how are we going to surround ourselves, how we've shifted, and what we're doing now to move the business forward, right?
It comes down to people that are encouraging to you and build you up. And I didn't have a lot of that, until I met you and some of our other friends from college, and
Right.
and really made lifelong. I see it as lifelong friendships.
I like what you said about encouraging, but I also, you talked a little bit about you can be encouraging, but also honest with your feedback, right? Constructive criticism, right? And I think there's a place for that. I don't want somebody just to tell me, "Oh, you're doing a great job," when you're not doing a great job. I want somebody to actually give me feedback that is honest too. So hopefully we have people around that are doing that. But I've been fortunate to have people that are supportive around me, Brad. Of course, you're a very good friend and business partner, but I've also had family that was very supportive. My mother and father are very supportive people. I have uncles and aunts that have been supportive in my life. I have brothers that are supportive and interested in what I'm doing. So that makes a big difference in my life. And I don't take that lightly. So I think that's really a good point that you brought up, is that it's important to have supportive people around you. Have you ever had when you get around somebody that's negative, how's that experience? How do you deal with that? If somebody's not supportive, or they're just, you alluded to it earlier, some people aren't, I don't know, they take it too far, or they're not supportive, or they're kind of like, what are you doing? Like, even if you're trying something new or pushing forward on things that they're not interested in, they're kind of negative towards you. How do you deal with that?
It comes back to limitations and boundaries again. So like limiting how many interactions you might have with those individuals or people, and just not spending too much time in that world. Because if it's not doing you any good mentally, what's the point in continuing that?
Yeah, it doesn't make any, it's a good point. Like, why would you continue to put yourself in a position where they're tearing you down, or not supportive, or they're not that they have to agree with you, but they can be supportive. They don't have to be mean or rude or knock you down on you're trying something new, right? Or you're trying to better yourself, or they don't understand why you're not going to, I remember there was a time where it was like, this would be one example, brother. It's like, oh, you don't drink, so you can't have fun. You know what I mean? Well, here, I don't need all that, right? So I'm like distancing myself from individuals that don't understand that, right? While still being friendly to them. I don't have to be a jerk about it, right? So yeah, I don't know. When I have negative people, I think depending on where I was at in life, I would deal with that differently. Sometimes I could be really crude and rude back if somebody was that way. Because it's kind of painful when somebody's negative towards you when you're trying something for yourself, right? And they don't agree with it. I don't think I'm that way now. I think I'm more like, okay, that's the way you think about it. That's your choice. But it still affects you. Like, I know I'm still affected by that. Like, when somebody's negative towards me, if I let that in too deep, I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe, I don't know if you ever have that
yeah,
thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's why
anytime I'm around that mentality, or it could just be like anyone questioning what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, that can have a super negative effect on your mindset, and you do question whether you want to continue with what you're doing.
Right.
So it comes back to limiting interactions, or finding a way to counter those interactions in a positive way.
And I think I know have gotten stronger at that.
Well, I think I could get better at that.
But you've gotten stronger too.
Okay, thank you.
Is what I see. Yeah, because you're going to have people that aren't going to agree with you. They're going to tell you that it's impossible, or they're going to tell you that that's probably not a good idea, or they don't understand why you're doing that. So you have to get skinned at some point if you really want to accomplish something. Because you line up 100 people, and there's going to be people in that 100 100 group is going to say, nah, you can't do that, right? So, yeah, those experiences I think I've dealt with differently in my life. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. I hope I've gotten better at it. I know I can be pretty blunt with people that I don't feel are being nice or they're being negative, and I've been negative at times towards people. So I'm not, I've also dished out being negative at times. So, but I hope I'm getting better at that.
I think for me in the past, when I've been dealing with anyone that has any of those characteristics, whether it be friends, family, whoever, it's hindered my productivity in some ways too. And again, going back to like not wanting to continuing with your goals.
Right.
Where you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. Like, so,
yeah.
So you get the negative, and you get the negative, and you start to think, man, and your productivity goes down too. So you're around negative, right? And then you start to go, yeah, it's self-fulfilling prophecy on some level. You're like, well, maybe they're kind of right that I shouldn't do this. And then you get the negative talk in your head, and you're like, maybe they're right.
It's just like if you're working, for example, in a factory, and you notice like people start picking up on the mentality of everyone they're working around. It's almost like the hive mind mentality.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because when you brought this up to me about this topic, right, who you surround yourself with, and when you're at a factory or at a job, early on I figured out that I don't want to be hanging out with the people that are tearing down the company they're working with for. Does that make sense? That's your paycheck. If you don't like it, go get a job somewhere else. I learned that really early on. But I was at the boatyard building sailboats. Well, actually, I came in cleaning sailboats, and early on learned that there were certain people in that company that were not given an honest day's work. Do you think I hung out with them? Do you think I tried to learn from them? Those weren't the people I tried to learn from. I tried to learn from the people that were productive, right? And that made a world of difference in me climbing up in that company, and I did. So I'm glad you brought that up. But so it comes back to look for the people that are doing the right thing, or at least trying, right?
Yeah.
But I can't stand being in a company where people are ripping the whole company down.
Yeah. And I've worked at jobs where it's like that. It's like the hive mind. You start to take on that mindset too at some point.
Well, yeah, and I've had that happen to me, like where you get kind of entwined in that, right?
Yep.
I've had it work both ways. I can say that too. Yeah.
And it's tough because you're spending most of your time with these people.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I do know, yeah. Lots of hours, 40, 50, 60. Some of those jobs are 65 hours.
It becomes your life.
Yeah.
I know people that today, it's conversations about, shop talk.
Yeah. Susie did this and
you know what I'm talking about.
I do, yeah. Like, they,
focusing
whatever,
on all the shitty situations that are occurring.
Yeah, Bobby's not working and I'm working, and and Susie's she does it the wrong way.
An asshole, and
so if you want to climb up in a company, I would suggest, or if you want to be happier at a company, you stay away from all that, right? And one of the other things I played with is if I couldn't say it to you, I tried not to say it. So if I could not say it to your face, don't say it.
Right, that's a good
and I
take on.
I really try to do that if I feel like I can't say it to you, and I feel like I feel better about myself when I do that, and it builds trust with the people around me. Because if you disagree with the way somebody's doing something, there's a way to say that when you're surrounding yourself with people. That goes back to that constructive criticism, right? I want to have people around that I can be honest with, right? And I want the same thing, and that's no bullshit right there. That has served me well. I feel like I've built good trust with the people I'm working with.
So ultimately, it comes down to it's crucial on who you surround yourself with, because that can really affect the goals that you're trying to achieve, productivity, and improving as a person. They're setbacks, and they can, when you're trying to take 2 steps forward, it can put you 4 steps back.
Yeah, I like the
in a
productivity.
way.
I really connect with that productivity part, Brad, that you brought up. I haven't thought it. I didn't get to think this all the way through until we started talking about it, but you're so right. Like, there's been times in my life where things have been really negative, and I may not have the right support system around me, or I might have been living a life the way I shouldn't have. And boy, does productivity go down. And what else goes down for me is like solution. Like, I'm looking at the problem, but I'm not looking at how I get out of that problem. Well, what's the solution then, right? I don't know if you ever had that. So your energy levels, your productivity is down. You're looking at the problem, and you're not problem solving, right? And as entrepreneurs, you have to problem solve, like, all the time. So I think guarding who's around us and guarding like the goal and trying to keep the attitude moving. It's not that you're going to feel good all the time. That's not going to happen. But trying to eliminate those stressors, those unnecessary stressors in life. Having people around that are not supportive and that are being negative to you all the time, like you said, is not a good way to go. Like, it's
hard to escape that too sometimes in when you have social connections with people.
But yeah, I've met,
it's hard to, and when it comes to family.
Well, yeah, depending on where your connection is with that.
Because you can't completely escape
Right.
You could if you didn't care.
But that's not healthy
or
either.
if you have a different type of relationship. If you have good relationships, but there are still those aspects of those relationships that kind of bring you down at times, it can be hard and difficult to
disconnect from that.
From it.
Yeah. And like you said, depending on whatever that level is.
Yeah.
Whatever your relationship is with those individuals. So yeah, not always easy to navigate through, to create support systems around you, and everybody has a different path. So,
and you're right too, going back to carrying a negative mindset, because I have to catch myself sometimes, and I'm sure people have heard it on this podcast at times where I sound like I'm being negative.
Right.
And that has to do with negative self-talk. Can be tough because we all do it. I admit it. I do it at times. Joe's already admitted it, but I catch myself when I'm doing it now.
It's good, right?
And I'm like, okay, that's probably not a good mindset to travel down, especially with the people that are around you.
That negative self-talk is not a good road to go down. I agree with that.
It affects the people around you. So instead of thinking about myself, I'm thinking about others before I start spewing out negativity or whatever.
Yeah. Do you want to be the type of person people want to be around?
Because it again goes to that kind of hive mindset.
Yep. It goes both ways.
Right.
Are you going to be a type of person that somebody is going to want to be around?
Do you want to push that energy onto somebody else?
Hell no, right? So we want to figure out how to not to do that, right?
Yep.
Not that you're not going to need support from people, but not everything's a travesty either. You got to figure things out sometimes, right? And I keep saying, I try to say to myself, is like, for the most part, if other people are doing it, I think I can do it too, on some level, Oh, that's what you said, negativity, right? So one of the things I think we are good at is when we're in front of the client, we don't show ourselves if there's a problem. Kind of you try to solve the problem, stay smooth about it. Wouldn't you agree? And I think that's a really important thing when you're doing business for yourself. Because when you get on and you're dealing with cameras and lighting and photography and scripts, and you're talking about putting together an idea, and you have to fix a problem on, if there's an issue or compositionally, and you're trying to figure all that out in real time.
When a drone all of a sudden stops working.
Yes. You're going to have to, yeah, right. Sorry.
When you crash your drone into a tree.
Right.
On the first test flight.
Right. When those things happen, you can't show yourself too much, right? But anyways, yeah, so I think we've done really good about, staying professional even though there's a problem on set.
Yeah, there's challenges on set.
Right.
And challenges within any other job.
Right. So how do you handle
Or
those
career.
challenges when they come up in front of people?
Yeah, how do you present yourself to those challenges?
Yeah,
How do you present yourself to other people when you're dealing with those challenges or frustrations?
Are you whining? Are you freaking out over it? Or are you trying to staying calm on the surface and freaking out in the insides? Because that happens sometimes too, right? So I think we've done good at that. And I do good at that when I'm with my other clients too. So I think that's important. But that comes back to self-talk. Right. It comes back to knowing your equipment. It comes back to having enough experience to be able to solve those problems and being confident in yourself to be able to do so. Right. And I think that's important. So I think who you surround yourself really comes down to what kind of attitude are you going to have. Right. Now that we're thinking this through a little bit, am I the type of
what kind of attitude do you want to have?
Yeah. Am I the type of man somebody would want to be around? Are we the type of company that somebody wants to hire? When we come on set or when we come and develop a product, are we presenting ourselves honestly and being positive and trying to solve the problem and, having a good time, like, are we those people or are we those people that are just coming to get $1 from you?
See, that's the thing I love about working together and working with you on sets is that there have been so many challenges that we've faced on shoots.
Right.
And even with the challenges or frustrations, it's still fun.
Right. That's the attitude part, right?
Like the times we were just talking about this, about there were some shoots where we had to shoot throughout the day and stay up all night editing.
Right.
We had no sleep. It was just required for the job.
We worked.
And those were some of the
we had a blast.
Most fun shoots
laughing
we've been on. Yeah.
24 hours straight, over 24 hours straight. Right?
Yeah.
And we did it.
But that's a different kind of challenge.
Yeah, but we still, but you're bringing up a good point. Like we've had fun.
Some people might take it as like, oh, fuck, I didn't get enough sleep. What am I going to do? Oh my God, I'm so tired. We didn't.
I think we laughed about it.
We laughed about it.
Like, what are we doing? Like, are we really doing this?
Are we doing this? What is this?
It goes back to being hungry. You know what I mean? That's the shit people don't know about us, brother. There's a lot of people have no clue that you and I have worked, over 24 hours straight and done it more than one day in a row. Right? A 2-hour nap and back up and did it again, right? On that
we didn't even have a 2-hour nap. It was like a
15 minute
nap.
I don't remember. It's been too long ago, but yeah. So, what kind of attitude do you have? Do you want to be surrounded by, I'd rather be around a bunch of people that are trying to move forward than sitting on a couch bitching about how everything can't be fixed, and it's just a better life for me. I just feel more energized. I feel healthier when I'm working on something. I know there's been times in my life where I've almost felt depressed when I didn't have a goal or I'm working towards something. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but it's definitely happened to me more than once in life, right? And over the last several years, I don't think I've felt as much like that, especially this last 2 or 3 or 4 years when we're working on something. I'm excited about it. So, but we've had ups and downs even in those time frames too, if we're being honest about it. So how do you see yourself? What's some attributes of other business owners or other people that you want to be around, Brad? What's something you would like to connect yourself to? I guess is what I'm the way I look at it. Like, are there people that you would, this next couple of years as we're growing revenue, is it other business owners, other industry? Do we want to get more connected to community? Who do we want to surround ourselves with? In your head?
In my head?
Yeah, like the way, and I know it's not easy for you, but if you can control how that happens, right? On whatever level. What are the types?
So taking it back to what we were talking about throughout the past few weeks, and when it comes to a business standpoint, is I want to connect myself with people from a business perspective that need help.
Okay.
That we can solve a problem. We're not just going there to shoot a video and get paid. We're there to go and help them. Let's say, for example, you've been looking at a lot of businesses that aren't utilizing video.
Right.
So reaching out to them and genuinely wanting to help them in that area.
What we
From a business standpoint.
Right.
And then from a personal standpoint is I'd like to be more involved in community and doing positive things within the community. And I think part of that is this podcast and having people on that have stories to tell that are positive, moving forward stories, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and I'm going to move.
That's one of our Joe's favorite lines.
What's that?
Currently, just move forward.
Yeah, move forward. The arrow's pointing forward. But I like what you said about we don't just want to come produce a video for you, right? Because it's more than just a video, right? It's solving a problem for your company or getting you visible, right? And so you're right. We absolutely do not want to just create product to make 20,000, 3,000, 5,000, 2,000, 1,500, depending on what that video is or day shoot, right? We want that video to live and breathe and work for you, right? And I think you're right about that. That's one thing I think we need to, and I think that's come across with other clients that we work with.
Another thing for me, it comes back to another goal that I have that's more personal is like travel and meeting people from different areas of the world, cultures, getting to experience.
I totally agree with that. It's one of my biggest dreams is to be able to live and edit. So we could edit somewhere for a month in another country. I would be in heaven, man. Seriously, that would be great.
We're stuck in a bubble here, you know?
Yeah.
Where I'd like to go out and meet new people from different cultures around the world and just experience that.
Yeah, it would be wonderful.
Before I die.
I'd love to photograph that and meet the people. That'd be a great time. So yeah, I think you bring up a good point. Being authentic. So the other thing is helping people in community, right? You said that a little bit too. What does that mean? Does that mean locally here? Like within this community, or
it doesn't have
Ohio,
to. It doesn't have to be local.
Okay,
it could be anywhere.
Okay,
and being a part of something that helps other people.
And without dropping any names, we do have something lined up. Hopefully, at the end of April, where it's a nonprofit organization that you and I believe in, and we're gonna go out to that city and visit, and also hopefully create some content for them. So I'm excited to do that. And is that kind of what you're talking about too, is being able to help people like that too on some level?
Yeah.
When we choose to.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's one area you and I agree upon really easily. Like there's certain aspects of that we that's our philosophy, right? So surrounding ourselves with people that are actually helping other people is a way of networking for us, right? And friendships and long-term business relationships can come out of those things too sometimes. So,
yep.
I'm really excited to do that. What I just talked about, that nonprofit. So, trying to think if there's anything else I can think of as far as.
Are you talking about with our friend?
Mm-hmm.
That was okay.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that. So that kind of goes in with what you're saying, right? Is to be able to help other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And just be able to make a difference.
Right. Yeah. Just have an impact, right? Even if it's something
to have an impact.
a small impact, right, on somebody. So that means helping somebody, right? And for me, for us, that might be using our skills, right? Like one of the things I did recently over Christmas was I did free family photos at the library, right? And some of the families, they came and had them, right? That's something nice to do for the community. Or maybe there's something with a fundraiser for one of the schools around here or something, and we can help out somehow like that, right? I don't know, something along those lines. So surrounding yourself, can you think of any ways over the last year, well, the podcast, you brought that up. So this podcast is starting to help us get surrounded by people differently, right?
It's another outlet for networking.
We're having guests come in. It's really exciting for us because not only do we get to we're starting with a close circle of friends that we have that we appreciate their work or we appreciate what they're doing, and we're having them in. And so that's been another way for us to network and maybe cross-promote and to get to learn from those individuals of what they're doing. And I think some of the things they do in their business, I think can help us. What do you think about that? I mean, that's kind of how I'm viewing it.
Yes.
There's times where we can learn from them that they might have done something like, oh, wait, I never thought about doing that. Or, I don't know, just sharing ideas. So I like that. So the podcast is another way for us to surround ourselves, and I'm really excited this next year to see where we go with that as far as having guests come in. I want to be real with you for a minute.
Okay.
And I want to talk about how sometimes we don't network out of our own maybe fears.
Yes.
Because I really think that's why we don't network. It's easier to keep ourselves distant from other people.
Maybe me more so than you.
Yeah, but the way I network is very controlled also. I don't put myself in uncomfortable positions sometimes. And I think it's because...
What kind of?
Like on a business
situation?
sense. Like let's say the Chamber of Commerce or something like that. See, I'm really good at like deciding who I want in my life. I'm not as good as going in with a majority of like there's 600 people a part of this Erie County Chamber of Commerce, right? I'm not as good at that. Do I think I can do it? I think I can do it.
I know you can do it.
But I'm not as comfortable with that.
I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's because you're going into something where you're dealing with different agendas.
Yeah. And there is always an agenda with people. I know that. I don't know. It's just that I want to explore that more because I think there's a benefit to being connected to community that way. Not just with the Chamber of Commerce, but with more businesses. And I think a lot of times we don't do that because we're fearful of our own limitations. Not just you. I think there's a lot of people that feel that way. And I think it's important for us to network. One of the reasons you get into business is to sell a service, right? And you have to meet people to be able to do that, whether that be through marketing, advertisement, a storefront, nowadays social media, YouTube, a podcast. However you're doing that, you have to put yourself out there to be able to get heard, right?
Yeah.
And one of the ways we should do that, it should be embedded in our community, and feeling confident enough in ourselves to be able to do that. And I think we've put in enough hard work over, we talked about working 24 hours straight. I mean, and we've worked hard over the years that I think we have value to bring to other businesses. I believe that. But I think the reason we don't network is because we're standing in our own ways on some level. I don't know if that's how you feel, but that's how I feel. Like it takes initiative to go to a meeting.
Yeah.
And we haven't done that. And I think it's an important step to business. That's at least where I'm at. And I also think that not everybody in if it's me and you and one of us is better at something, I think we can split those duties up, so to speak. But I think it's important that we kind of conquer that fear. That's one goal I would like to meet this year, is to become more active in our community. And I'm not just talking Erie County, because I don't feel like Erie County is my only community. At this point, I lived in Ohio for many, many years. There's lots of different areas I've lived in. I've lived in Lakewood, and you lived out in Cleveland. Huron County, Erie County. I think that it's a little broader than just Erie County.
Here's a thought. I don't know if we'll put this. Yeah, let me just say it. So everything that we're doing now is focused on business and entrepreneurship. Maybe we should start like some kind of nonprofit.
Maybe.
Where it's, instead of self-servitude, it's service to others.
That might be something. I don't know. I don't know. I have thought about nonprofits before. But I do know that I want to be, even for the business and for ourselves, is I want to be more connected to community. And I think there's some really cool things happening in our area, and it'd be nice to be a part of that and promoting that. So, and the only way to do that is to show up.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I want to work on this year. even if it's uncomfortable. It goes about
what's the first step to that?
I don't know.
In your head,
in my head, we talk about, there's different ways to do that, right? Local, regional, and like Chamber of Commerce. We've got the podcast going on now. It might be an event that comes up where other business owners are going to be at it, right? So that's where, in my head, that's where that starts, right? Okay. I don't know if that'll come out through talking to other guests on the podcast here, because we're going to have people in that are doing things, right, that are within the community.
Maybe this is our way of networking.
Right. This might, and I think this is a good way for us to network. I feel like we'll be able to talk to individuals that have information that could help other people. I don't know what that always means. It doesn't always have to be business, right?
This is a part of our networking, though.
Right.
It's not a maybe, it is,
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. I used the word maybe, but you're absolutely right. It is a way of networking.
I used the word maybe.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
It is a way of networking, right? So, I'd like to strengthen that beyond this year. That's my personal goal. That doesn't have to be your goal, but
yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that, but like I said, I think it comes down to just doing it.
Yeah, I think it's important too. You already know where I stand on that. It's probably a lot more difficult for me to do it.
It is. I would agree
with
that. Knowing you personally, it is. So you making a commitment to do that is even a bigger commitment. So
it's it's a different world, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it is.
It's a world that I'm not 100% comfortable in yet. When you're dealing with it's kind of a lot of politics, right? Would you say, when you're dealing with city and
business and city, and that's all on some level all political, right?
Yeah,
there is politics as part of that. When you're big business and you're a part of a chamber of commerce, you are attached to legislators and things like that can happen too. So
that's the only thing that I'm kind of hesitant of. I'm not opposed to it. I know it's important because, like you were saying earlier, how many businesses are connected to?
I believe there's over 600
Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, I believe there's over 600 right now. So to me, that's
connecting yourself to 600
and
businesses.
I've talked to you openly off the podcast. I admire people that show up and do things like that.
Yeah,
they know a ton more than I know, right? Some of them.
It comes down to intention.
Yeah.
So you're going to have many personalities and people with different intentions. Some maybe more positive, some not so much, maybe more for personal gain.
Right.
I think that's kind of what concerns me a little bit with that. Not that I should be concerned. It's still...
I think it's a valid point.
We know how to handle those situations.
But I think it's a valid point. Like, what is your agenda? Right? That comes back to, who do you want to align yourself with? Who do you want to have around you? Do you want somebody that's always trying to make a sale, or do you want somebody that's trying to move forward and is excited about their product?
Everyone around them.
Right. So there's a big difference. You're right. It
comes back to the same mentality we were talking about in previous episodes, where you and I don't look at everybody. There's competition, but we don't look at it that way in a sense.
No,
we had our conversation with Tony in the last episode.
No, he does video and photography. We both do video and photography.
Yeah,
right?
so it got brought up in that conversation too, where we're not looking to run down any of our competitors. I want to see everyone succeed,
And I think
so. It's that same mentality.
It's that healthy competition, right?
Right.
So you're a little jealous, like he said. I'm a little
jealous.
Tony
made a good point. Yeah. It's healthy competition. It makes everyone better.
Right.
But we're not. But at the same time, I want to see everyone succeed, even someone that you would call a competitor.
Well, yeah, if they're willing to put the work in, and they're willing to do quality work, and they're willing to stay with the times, right? Because 20 years from now, if we're still doing video work, right, and you're not staying with the times of what's being produced, right, then you're gonna lose. It's like Sears.
Yep.
Sears are closing, right? We've seen them close. Now you got Amazon. So if you don't move with the times, you're gonna get you're going to get run over, right?
And I've seen in the past too where people do go after their competitors, try to steal their business away. Like that is totally not my mindset.
No, we did research this week, and there was somebody that was already working with a place, and we did not call purposely because we respect the individual, and there would be no way I would ever try to make a sale unless I talked to him personally.
Right.
That's just
the only other way anything like that would happen if they came to us,
or we were in a room
and they wanted to make a change,
and a conversation came up.
Then I'd be open to it.
Yes,
but I would never intentionally go out to
undercut,
to steal
right.
other people's business.
Right. If they come to us because they see what a product that we're producing, then that's different.
Right.
But if I can narrow it down and know that somebody that I admire did the work with them, I probably won't go under. I would not try to make that sale.
And that's why
I don't know if that's right, but
that's why we're looking at businesses and companies that need the work.
Right. And I think there's enough work to go around. I really believe that.
Yes.
So I don't know if that makes sense to you, Brad. I'm sure it does. Like that's a personal goal that I'd like to do for the company this year.
It makes sense to me. We've talked about it in the past, and I know your stance on that, and I'm not opposed to it. We just haven't done it. We haven't put in the effort and actually went and attempted.
Right, and I know the lane that we want to stay in because we kind of agree on the philosophy of that. So we should be able to stay in a lane that we feel comfortable with. So, so that's how do we align ourselves? How do we surround ourselves? How are we ethical in business? I think that's another thing. Like I said, we didn't go after that sale this week. You made me double check, and it took me a little while to find it, but I found it. Right, I found out that they were doing work. I didn't see it initially, which goes back to the bigger question. Like you were saying, we want to produce work that's being used in the right way. So I'm hoping we can find clients that we can work with over time to build enough content that it actually works. Not a one and done video and you think that's just going to solve your problem, because that's not the way it works in today's world, right?
Yeah.
It's a campaign. We're not just push and play on a camera. We want to be able to create content that makes sense, that aligns with moving your message forward, right? So I did not see that in that work. Right? I didn't see it being leveraged and utilized in a way that I would have suggested to the client. But I did back off because you and I agree with that kind of thinking, right? So that's when you asked me earlier, what do I see as far as networking, local, regional, chamber of commerce, things like that. The way I see it for you and me is that we look for nonprofits or ways that we can reach out in the community and just help for the hell of it, just to do it, because it's something we would feel good about doing, right? With not a whole lot of agenda beyond that, if that's what I'm hearing from you. So maybe that's a goal we can look at this next year and see if we can accomplish that personally and for the company. So the other thing is like we're getting close, so I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're doing this next week, if that's okay. We had some notes down that we put down, and one of the things we talked about in the past was the infographic and our tip Tuesday, right? So we worked on that this week, and we accomplished quite a bit, actually, right?
Yeah, we did. We got weekly since we started. Well, it's been 2 weeks since we started that. I guess you could call it a campaign. But
we have now a specific graphic for that, and like to give reasons why video works, and we found a couple companies that we're using for that now.
It became clearer too on what the focus is,
right,
and how we're going to do that on a weekly basis,
right?
So you want to talk about like what we're doing?
Yeah, we're sitting around, we're like, okay, what's this? We wanted a graphic that goes with it, we wanted a text to go with it. So Brad, you really worked on the text and the graphic, right? We photographed it. We came in the other room. We did a clapboard, right? Why video works, and we're now we have a template for that. So every Tuesday,
kind of the campaign that we're going for this business is why video works, and there's so many tips on why it works. So that's our
this week's tip was what?
Our weekly goal.
Can you remember offhand?
Our tip this week was videos under 90 seconds are more, they hold retention. They can still tell
a compelling story.
Yep.
And then they're more likable or more to be there's a better chance of them being shared, I think was one of them.
I don't think that was in,
but that's what we're moving towards, I think. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was another point, but you're right. So, yeah, so we got a template for that. We worked on that. Brad's going to actually look it up and probably read it verbatim, as I'm sure.
I don't want to get it wrong.
No, but
there's so much going on. I can't remember all the
and I
details of everything.
Caught you off guard.
I know at the time when we were planning on posting, we had a clear understanding and idea of what it was we were sharing. More budget friendly.
That's what it was. So 90 seconds.
Because it's going back to fitting a project to a client's budget.
Right. Right. And so you don't need 5 minutes to do a compelling story. Sometimes you could do it in 90 seconds. You can do it in 60 seconds. And sometimes you can get a point across in 30 seconds, right? They do it all the time on TV, right? For commercials. But so we're trying to come up with, we're not having a hard time at all. We're going to come up with, every week, we're going to come up with the reason why you need video as part of your marketing campaign. And I keep going back in my head. It's like people used to spend $3,000, $5,000, $7,000 for the phone book every year.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a true
look it up.
statement.
Yes. Look it up. Half page, quarter page. Yeah. It was expensive.
Are you talking about ads?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
At first I was talking about, I thought you were talking about to buy the phone book.
No.
I didn't hear you say ads.
For the ad.
Okay.
So think about that. That was just one way they advertised. So, it's not that big of a leap to think that a company, even a small company, should be spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year on creating one piece of visual marketing advertisement as part of their marketing ad. In my opinion, it's not a leap. We just have to find them and shift the way we think about this, right? So I like that we came up with a template. It was actually kind of fun. We took the own photo. You're holding it. It looks like a stock. It almost looks fake, the image of you holding that clapboard.
And it comes back to what we believe in as a business, as a video production business. It doesn't have to, like if you have less of a budget.
Yeah.
If a client has less of a budget.
Oh, client, not me.
If a client has less of a budget.
Right.
If a client has less of a budget.
How many clients? One client?
We can always, if a client wants a 5-minute video and then we quote them $10,000.
Right.
And they're like, oh my God, I only have 2,500 or 3,000 or 30.
Right.
I mean, most videos are going to be above $2,500. Most. But if you have like a smaller budget,
we can figure
that's not $10,000 or $5,000. We can scale it back and do a video that's less than 90 seconds
and still quality and
30
still
seconds or a minute and still hit the message you're trying to convey.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's basically what we're saying
get
with
that out clearly.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying with that tip is that you can it's more budget friendly. We can figure ways out to do that, right?
Yes.
But the thing that I'm reading over and over and over again is that the increase in video production has, just continually moved up since.
Yeah, and here's another thing. And this isn't bashing anyone. This is what we know. This is a fact. That video is one of the top, if not the top, content strategies for businesses in 2021 and into 2022.
Absolutely.
And we get a lot of people not valuing video.
But I think it's a
Start
shift.
that over with what you said. You think what?
It's a shift. I think it's a shift in how you spend your marketing dollars, right? So, do you have video on your website? Do you have video in your blog posts? Do you have video throughout the year describing what your testimonies are? There's a multitude of ways of using video, right? And it is important. Why is video important? Video is important because it is more memorable than text. It's true. Most people connect more to a video than they will text, right?
I see a lot of companies spending shitloads of money on agencies, which I'm not saying that's not important. It's very important. And then putting video production at the bottom of the priority
which
list.
Which is interesting to me.
It is.
And I can't say all agencies are doing that, but we have encountered that.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm wondering, like, how, if you're reading the data and where strategically what's working for companies and what's working for search engine optimization and what's working for Instagram and what's working for social media, Facebook and TikTok and you name it, right? If video is increasing, and it is, if you look on those platforms, right, and you start to look at the data, then why are these agencies not pushing to have a strategy to where it's a combination of professionally done video?
You tie it in with the other marketing tools that the agency's providing.
Absolutely. Why would you not be heading towards that way? And I don't know if this is a thing where it has snuck up on some of the agencies in our area where they don't realize that, or is it more profitable for them to do other things? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have an answer for that today, but it makes me question that, right? And
I've never worked in an agency, so I know people that have worked at agencies, but I don't understand the full scope of.
Well, I would love to have
what an agency does. I know they're creating a lot of the assets, logos, print materials.
Depends on what they're skilled at.
Putting the message out there. It could be social media management. Yeah. It's all those aspects.
Yeah. Different agencies are suited for different skill sets, right? So they're working on different things, right?
Some agencies provide video production. Some
a
lot subcontract, or look for contracted work.
Right. I would love to someday have somebody on that works at an agency and hear more about what they do and how they help their clients, because I would want to understand better how that works, right? I'm not saying there aren't good agencies out there. I'm just saying that video has to rise, is rising, and there's a need for it, right? And there's a need for content to be created like that. And I think there's a way you can do it professionally, have professional companies come in and do that for you, right? Alongside with doing something in-house. So that means using your cell phones and things like that. But I think it's a balance of two. Not just because we sell it, but because there's a need for both, right? A campaign can be thought out where you can utilize those different strategies. So you have some people in-house creating with their cell phones, and then you have some video production coming in throughout the year or building on their whole content, right? Or their whole, whatever their campaign is, right? So that's what we're talking about, our tips, right? And so we started working on the infographic too. I wanted something more visual on the website to say how you start working with us. And then we want another infographic of why video works on our website, right? So we're picking through those ideas right now, and I started just kind of sketching out a few ideas on the pad, like I talked about doing earlier in some of the episodes. So we are working on that this last week.
And even without paying for advertisements, I'm noticing it's starting to work. We're getting engagement with each post.
Yeah,
consistent post.
I'm glad we went back.
Whether we're doing it the right way or not, we'll find that out. It's kind of a trial and error thing. But we're doing something, and that's what matters the most.
And we knew we needed to be doing this, but we just weren't focused on it anymore.
No, I wasn't utilizing social media for a while. I was for a little bit, and then I just stopped doing it. And now we're focusing on it on a weekly basis, and we're going to start putting more
our own video
content on social media.
So we're also trying to do it in a structured way. So like on this day we work on this, right? We're trying to simplify the process because we got other things to do. We don't have time to sit around and just do social media, right? I think other business owners can feel that pain too.
Yeah.
Like that's not their full-time job, is doing social media, right?
Right.
So I'm going to work more on
just the two of us doing all of this work. So
the house, the podcast, the video production, some photography, some marketing, cold calling, invoices, calling for invoices, emails. There's it. If you're doing a business, that there's more than one thing you do every once in a while. So I'm going to work more on cold calls. We're going to work on getting more of that infographic done and some of the data on that we agree upon. And then continue working on our marketing tactics, right? So that means cold calling. We need to come up with an email. I started working on that a little bit. And we're going to get back to that this next week. So that's where we're at, right?
Do you want to talk about something you're falling short on?
Yeah, the cold calls, I thought I could have done more this week. And I backed off, and some of it was fear-based, to be honest with you. That's not an easy thing for me to do, so I'm having to
Why didn't you talk it through with me?
I don't know. I
worked
talk to me about it, I had some
I can counsel you too, like you counsel me.
I appreciate it. I was focused on some other things. I'm gonna get back at it. But I did follow up on everything I had to, though. That was what I felt good about. I cleared off the other people I was supposed to contact, left it where it was at, put the notes in, and kept moving forward. I want to keep moving forward. I don't want to just wait on one or two phone calls, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I fell short a little bit this week. I could have done more cold calls, and I need to improve that. So I don't know if you fell short anywhere, but that's one area I fell short in.
I think I was putting focus. If I fell short, I was staying productive. But if I had to say that I fell short, it might have been putting other projects that I should have had on a higher priority at a lower priority.
Okay. So prioritizing your day was...
But it wasn't anything that was detrimental to the progress or anything like that. So
cool.
But I believe I was productive for the most part.
Productive. We had some technology difficulties with Adobe.
I'll say this. I've been veering more towards the podcast than I have with our production business.
Right.
So I want to put the focus back more so on the business because that's what our bread and butter is right now. And then, but again, it goes back to the whole point of trying to get caught up with.
Yeah, there's a purpose for it.
The
no
podcast.
Reason. Yeah, we need to get caught up.
So once we have it's pretty much all streamlined. There's some tweaks here and there, but once I get all the videos caught up to where I want to be, it'll be good. And I'm almost there. So.
And when you say video, so we have the podcast audio, then we also are recording ourselves.
Yeah, so the video with the podcast, so editing all of that, and so when it comes to the podcast, we're doing video, we're doing audio, so I have to edit the video portion of it plus the audio. I do it both at the same time, and then I have to render out or export out the video.
So it takes time.
And I have to export out the audio, upload everything. YouTube takes forever to upload, and that has to do with our internet speeds because we're limited to what internet providers we have in this area.
Right.
So we don't have fiber optics.
Right. And when we had some technical difficulties with the Adobe suite, the fonts weren't showing up, so we went a whole day without being able to
anyone
work
uses
on
Adobe, if you've had issues with the fonts lately, so they weren't syncing with my Creative Cloud. So when I'd go into Premiere Pro and I'd search up my Adobe fonts that I had activated, they weren't syncing with Premiere or the Creative Cloud app. So I had to call them, and it was a known issue. I found out today. This was yesterday that I talked to them today. They called me, and it was a known issue. And I turned my computer on this morning, and it magically worked.
Right. Well, not magically. You uninstalled everything.
Well, I did that, but that still didn't fix the problem yesterday.
No.
So I don't know how it got repaired because there weren't any updates. So that's
I don't know.
Baffling to me.
We don't understand why
how it was able to correct itself, unless there was some kind of update they did without us knowing it while my computer was shut. I don't know.
But it's working now.
It's working now. Yep.
So
yep.
And that's one thing too is like, so the goal this week is to get back on track, maybe shift a little bit. So if I'm hearing you correctly, we're going to shift more into the video production end of it, get one of the other clients done, and maybe focus on some marketing tactics for ourselves on that, because that's our bread and butter, right? Not that this isn't important to us, the podcast, because we're going to get better at it. We want to get good at doing this, right? We want to be able to have clients on and guests on and things to talk to and share different ideas and try to get information out, get information in, and get better at what we're doing, right? And having a good time. We enjoy doing this. Like, it's not easy, but we enjoy doing the podcast. So we're excited to share this with you out there. And, you know, any feedback too that we can get from individuals would be great.
Yeah.
Constructive.
And the whole guest thing, yeah, we haven't had a ton of guests on yet, but we want over time to have more consistent guests.
Yeah.
At some point, hopefully on a weekly basis. Right now, it's not at that point yet. But our goal is to book more guests, right. And hopefully as the show progresses, we'll have more consistent guests that people can learn from and hear some cool stories, I guess. Right?
I think so. I hope so. I think so.
So, is there anything else, Joe, that you want to talk about?
I really think that's where we're at for our goals and where we fell short. Kind of wrapping it up now, I think. And I can't think of anything, Brad, that I would want to share.
The only thing I want to say is, like, we're going to get better at this. We're going to keep doing it. We're not giving up. You're going to have weekly content from us.
That's right.
At least 2 times a week. We'll see how busy we get with business. There's a chance that, I'll be honest, that it could fall back to 1 day a week, but I want to stick to a consistent 2 day a week, Monday, Wednesday episodes.
Okay, yeah, and
who knows, we might throw in a little surpriser episode every now and then, extra each week.
Yeah, I think I'm really I gotta tell you, I'm surprised that we made it to 14. When we started this, yeah. When I first told me
I'm not surprised.
Once we started,
even with my struggles.
I mean, I know we're going to do it once we decided to do it, but it was like when you first brought it up, I'm like, I don't know, dude. What are we going to talk about?
Was someone knocking?
Thought I heard something.
Or was that the tenant downstairs? Was that you? Oh, okay.
Might have been that. But anyways, thanks, Brad. Appreciate you sharing some things, because there's some stuff that you said tonight that I haven't heard you say before, so that's interesting.
Really?
To me. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Hopefully it came across clear.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you were able to take something from this episode. If not, we'll work on getting better, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks for listening.
Keep doing something every day.
Let's get it. Peace.